Today we have a special guest with us all the way from Tanzania, who is an intellectual property practitioner based in Tanzania, and he will be giving us insight on the latest development and trends within his jurisdiction. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, please do that before you continue this episode.
IP, IP,
IP,
IP, IP,
IP,
IP, IP, IP. Welcome to IP series, home to all things IP related, where I give you the stories, tips, and implications to business and creative decision concerning your intangible assets with real life case study. I am your host, Rita Anri Chinda. Subscribe and turn on your notification so you don't miss an episode. Cheers, guys.
Nice to meet you, Anwi. By the way, I'm interested with what you're doing. Let us keep pushing it. I know sometimes it might not be making sense, but as we go on with some of upground and underground movements which contributes to the general uprising of our industries as far as legal perspective is concerned. And on top of that, I would like to congratulate the Nigerian industries in general, as you have been the movers of our culture in general as far as Afro beats is concerned.
So, on behalf of Nigeria, I'm going to take that congratulations. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to actually hosting you in Nigeria when you decide to come. And now I've accepted the congratulation message for Nigeria. You are highly, highly welcome to IP series. Kindly introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you are based, and what you do for a living.
Sure. So I would really wish to visit in Nigeria one day because I'm the real fan of Nigerian music. The new song might come out from Nigeria and then notice in the same day, but in Tanzania I might notice it after a week. Okay, thank you. Anwi. So hello guys. My name is Clavery Mlowe. I'm an attorney or advocate from Tanzania, East Africa. Basically, I'm an entertainment and sport lawyer, and most likely an IP lawyer or intellectual property lawyer. Yeah, I'm from the law firm tailored as Cosmic Attorneys, where we do some of the corporate tax consultation, and me, likely in my department, we do entertainment. So I'm glad to be part of the IP series today with Madam Anwiri. I hope we're going to share a lot about the industry in general, or specifically in the issue concerned the copyright in the digital era or in the modern technological era. Yeah, so welcome guys.
So, thank you for welcoming everyone to IP series on my behalf. Can you kindly tell us a bit about the current state of intellectual property protection in Tanzania? What are the main laws and institutions that regulate this area?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The intellectual property protection environment in Tanzania is basically categorized into various blocks or different categories depending on the nature or type of the certain intellectual property right or certain property. So in Tanzania, we have the law guiding trademarks and brands or service marks, which specifically protects and provides for the procedures for registration and protection of trademarks, service marks, and brands as in general. And specifically, this is under the Business Registration and Licensing Agents, which is BRELA, where the whole process of registration and protection of it is done there, but guided by the Copyright and Service Marks Act of Tanzania. And also there is this category of inventions where the patent law or the Patent Act protects the new inventions, technological inventions, specifically have been developed to curb or to combat certain problem and which are industrial applicable. So these categories of IPs or intellectual properties still are under the business licensing and registration agents, BRELA, where one has to lodge an application for them to have protection of their inventions. We also have the other category of IPs, which is copyright, which deals with artistic and literary works, whereby all these novel artists or literal artists who write materials or papers of sorts are protected under this law, which is Copyright and Neighboring Act of 1999. So the same is under the Copyright Society of Tanzania, which is now Copyright Office after the recent changes of the law, which is the office entrusted as a custodian of copyrights in Tanzania, or copyright owners are supposed to register or to lodge their application for the registration of their rights to this. And in general, other intellectual properties like industrial secrets and other related rights have their laws all protected under certain laws in Tanzania. So those are just main categories of intellectual properties which are legally protected in Tanzania, but not to forget others.
Are you saying Tanzania also has a law that protects trade secret? Because you guys call it industrial secret, right?
Specifically, I did not say we do not have law protecting it, but we have, some other stuffs you cannot register. Like you have your trade secrets undergoing inside. You are protected as the owner. Then you are given the right to protect it, like to have the non-disclosure agreements, to have the non-circumvention agreements, which will protect you when someone circumnavigate upon your rights. Yeah, that's why I didn't say. I said those are just top tier IPs in Tanzania, which have also authorities looking for them in terms of registration and regulations. It doesn't mean we do not recognize these minor or other IPs like trade secrets and industrial secrets. Yes.
So, what would you say are the reforms that have been undertaken or proposed to address challenges that IP owners face in Tanzania and can also improve intellectual property protection within Tanzania?
So I would answer that in an example or in the specific area which I'm really doing it much in the issue of copyright and stuffs. Of recent in Tanzania, there have been done some reforms in terms of management and correction of royalties and other rights associated to copyright owners. Yeah, so there have been changes of law. As I said, there have been changes from the Copyright Society of Tanzania to a Copyright Office of Tanzania. And the main issue behind these changes was the introduction of CMOs, copyright management organizations, which gives the right of individual or specific copyright owners or group of copyright owners to have some sort of their representation or their organization which they will be responsible or to oversee their royalties or in some stuff of that like that. So this is the main and the big movement in Tanzania because it gives accountability. It also gives transparency in terms of how artists are obtaining their royalties in respect of the economic exploitation of their rights. And also, the other thing, there have been a movement in terms of us lawyers, in terms of advising the government to adapt the recent technological changes in terms of how do these artists benefit from the digital distribution, like having the parameters inside the country which will direct or provide how these artists are going to benefit from the exploitation of their works. I said before, changes comes with time also. As time goes on, we still undergo changes in terms of our laws and clearing the holes which were back then looked as inhibiting these artists from fully enjoying their rights. Basically, the other example, as I told you before, the introduction of CMOs, there is another changes which the government have introduced, the regulations which requires all these places where they air or they use copyrighted material to specifically have a license from this copyright office, which indirectly contributes to the revenue or income generation of the artists who will be the members to this office. So I can say 50-50, we are still moving, and the changes we are seeing are the ones which we want for the artists, because those are the properties, and they have invested their energy, their time, their skills, their knowledge, even money in terms of production. Regional registration of the IPs. Yeah, I think it's the same. In Tanzania, we have these internal authorities for the local registration, but also Tanzania is the member of the international regional organization as far as IPs are concerned. Like, we are also members of ARIPO, and also we are the members of the international organization for IPs. WIPO.
So, when it comes to intellectual property in Tanzania, what would you say is the current hot topic or trend or conversations that Tanzanians are getting acquainted with? And also, as a practitioner, what is that insider view you would like to share with us?
I'll talk of my field, basically, as far as IP and copyright is concerned, as I'm an entertainment lawyer. The most recent and hot topic have been, the first one, I'll put in numbers, and the first one is the infringement of these copyrights in the digital platforms and other related aspect of technologies. And the other one, which is more like the list, I don't call it as the major topic, but it is, as far as IPs are concerned, it's a recognition of this musical genre as geographical indication. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we understand Nigeria are the movers of Afrobeats. We know South Africa are the movers of Amapiano. So, as far as the culture is concerned, revenue generation concerned, this is also a hot topic, because even in Tanzania now, artists are being told that you should be concentrating on creating your own identity, because that's what determine what your music or in your culture also. It's not bad to do what Nigerians are doing, but as far as Tanzanians are concerned, we need to have our own identity that recognized all over worldwide, that this is the genre of music from Tanzania. So, as I said before in the introduction, I said you guys have been the movers of the so-called Afrobeat. But in Africa, we have so many genres, which is also some sort of geographical indication which has to be recognized under IPs. So mainly the main issue is, as put at the number one, that is IP copyright infringement in this digital era. It's like waves. It comes and goes. So some years back, I can say 3 to 5 years, it has been Afrobeat. But 2 years up to now, as we are going, Amapiano has been taking over. And Tanzania, we are like the center of adaptation. You come with your culture, we adapt, and we might do the best as you could not even expect. So we go with waves. Right now is Amapiano, but still,
I mean, come on, the Amapiano wave is just everywhere. I mean, it's also interesting to hear that Tanzania adapts easily to a lot of things. So I guess this should be fun this period.
yeah, because that's what determines the music wave. It has to be certain sound and evil. But I believe as African we still have more sounds, because even when you hear a lot of Western and any other parts from not from Africa, most of them are inspired by music from Africa. Yeah, like in Tanzania we have our own genre called bongo flavor.
Fantastic. And thank you for sharing. Moving on to the next conversation, you are aware that the FIFA Women's World Cup is currently ongoing and will end on the 20th of this month. Yeah. What are your thoughts basically when it comes to female athletes, monetization, commercialization? Let's just talk about that a little bit.
Agreements. Yeah, I think they need to put much efforts as they do to men's World Cup, because there are image rights and stuffs which benefits these men in terms of their World Cup. And if you look at the way they advertise or the way they push the women's World Cup, it's not the same as men's World Cup. So we could have some sort of balance in terms of, because it's through that one also people make their life. Yeah, so because in the events like that, so many things are involved. There are endorsements which these players get, these teams may have. So that way.
So, what say you about the best mode for resolving disputes on intellectual property within Tanzania?
You know, most of the time we are advised to use the alternative dispute resolution, because most of the methods they still maintain the relationship which these people might have, because generally these all of them are business personnel. And if you see an innovator, if you see an artist, still depend on those people who would use or would economically exploit their works of art or intellectual properties. So I do not prefer using court litigations too much, rather than having an ADR way of or amicable ways of solving these disputes. Even though there is an infringement, someone should not hide under that we need to settle in terms of that, should know that the law does not provide, and should know that there is a need of the owner to benefit. So the way to benefit is, it should be an amicable way, in certain way it benefits both parties so that it can foster their relationship in the future. Mm.
So, what would you say have been the challenge in step practicing in Tanzania as an IP lawyer and also as an entertainment lawyer? What are those tips that you would give a creative, since the conversation has been so focused on copyright and the creatives? But yeah, kindly share some light on the challenges you've experienced.
First of all, you know, I will just speak on the challenge first and see how we go through it, and how I prefer to work with this. Most of these creatives or talents, they are just blessed with talents, and not all of them have been passed through this system of going to school and have certain knowledge. They might be educated, but they might not be specifically detailed in terms of certain industry or certain way of holding their works. So what we do is, first of all, telling them their rights and making them aware that they should put their rights front before they do anything. You understand? They should not perform a show before the rider is straight up for them and beneficial to their standards. They should make sure that their image is not misused before they are concerned or they have been fully compensated or paid. But also they should be cautious on the relationship they create, because there's a problem. These artists, they create relationship with business partners or investors to them without knowing their duties or their rights specifically concerning that engagement or such relationship they are creating. So those are some of, I believe there are so many, like the exit strategies, how they manage their creative control, how they get to be remunerated, like royalty distribution, depending on the nature of the engagement. We have different and specific areas of concern.
Can you share some um, ways that you or your firm have engaged creatives or IP owners within Tanzania, giving them a more detailed insight as to monetizing their intellectual property rights?
Yeah, so I'll say, and that's what we have been doing. Even in our law firm, we've been having some movement telling creatives or IP owners the commercial advantage of their properties or of their intellectual rights. And this is what will guarantee their economic gain in terms of exclusively for example, the copyright owners. If your right is not protected, it means someone can misuse it. And if someone misuses it, it means you're not economically benefiting from your right. So it has to be that way. We are insisting on them seeing the importance of their rights, then how they place strategies or they use ways which they can commercially or economically benefit themselves.
So, how can my IP friends who are not Tanzanians, maybe they are Nigerians, um, and would like to do dealings in Tanzania, how can we reach you? I know how to reach you basically, but how can other persons interested in IP protection in Tanzania reach out to you?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm from Cosmic Attorneys. You can reach our site with www.cosmicattorneys.co.tz, and in other digital platforms, we're going by the name of Cosmic Attorneys. But me personally, Clavery Mlowe, and my number is plus.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Clavery, for spending your time with us all the way from Tanzania, and it's good to speak to you.
Okay, thank you, and we're nice to meet you.
Thank you, happy friends, for listening to this episode with Clavery, all the way from Tanzania, talking about IP protection in Tanzania. Now, I have more exciting episodes for this month that are lined up, as we shared like a sneak peek of our speakers for this month on our social media platform. Do check it out and stay tuned for more episodes. Until next time, goodbye, guys.